Hey everyone, so today I'm here with a video on my thoughts after rereading Harry Potter for like the millionth time. I, like many people, love the Harry Potter series. I have all the books and they're perfect. J.K. Rowling wrapped up the ending perfectly. And there's just honestly nothing you can't really like. I mean, obviously you can go back. There's things we wish would have happened, this and that, especially with like Ron and Hermione, them ending up together. That was a sore point for fans, but whatever it is, everybody loves the series. It's the greatest book series ever written. Just face it, it is. And recently, I just picked it up and I started reading again, like for the millionth time. I've read them so many times. And I don't know what happened. I just ended up appreciating certain books more than I have done the first like 900,000 times I've read them. So The Goblet of Fire has always been my favorite Harry Potter book, and I also think it's the best movie that's come out, just because I thought the story, the way they brought in Voldemort, and just how they made Harry's life in danger, at first not feeling like Voldemort's attacking him, just to come to the end and he touches the Triwizard Cup, it's a portkey, takes him to Voldemort. It's crazy. I think that J.K. Rowling probably, this was the best story, and the 7th book was like right behind there. But that's always going to be my favorite book. That one did not change. But these two, I came to appreciate a lot more after reading them. Because I'd put the series down for a while, but after reading them, I came to appreciate 5 and 6 a lot more than I had before this. So starting with 5, I mean, this book is super long. Just look at it. It's massive. It's the biggest book in the series. And I always enjoyed the book. I always really liked it, but I always felt like it was a little, after the first 600 pages, I felt like it was too stretched out initially. But now that I went back and I reread this book, I realized how much importance it actually held, because this was the book where Harry was being doubted by everybody. People didn't believe that Voldemort was back. All sorts of stuff was happening. And Dolores Umbridge just made Harry's life horrible at Hogwarts. So I always just felt like that was too stretched out. But now that I actually reread it again, I think that is probably one of the most important books for Harry's character development, because I feel like this book is really the book where he transitions from being like a boy to a man, because before that he was still a boy fighting a man's battle, and now, he starts the DA, he teaches people. Harry feels, I think, like he steps into more of an adult role and into more of a power role than he had in the previous books, and I think that that's why this book was so important. And then there's the 6th book, because let me tell you, I did not like the 6th book at all when I read it. I don't know why, I just never liked the story. I always found it boring, and I always felt like it was like a chore to read, because all you want to see is that final battle between Harry and Voldemort, and they never meet in this book. So, I feel like this book for me, I was trying to feel like, oh, they'd have some battle, right? Voldemort would win it, and then Harry comes back in the 7th book and finally beats him. But that's just not how it played out. The book, it took a completely different turn. We're introduced to Horcruxes, we learn about Voldemort's past, Harry learns more, and then, of course, Dumbledore dies, which is that was one of the hardest deaths for me to read. But I don't know, I just came to appreciate this book a lot more, because I feel like just like Order of the Phoenix, Harry became a man in Order of the Phoenix, and I feel like in the 6th book, he became ready. He acknowledged that fact that, yeah, it's gonna be me who hunts down Voldemort and kills him. And I think that that's what made this book so powerful, because Harry is slowly, J.K. Rowling through 6 books built it up till there's that final battle. And there's the 7th book, which was just action-packed the whole time, searching for Horcruxes, fighting Death Eaters, the Battle of Hogwarts, eventually killing Voldemort. And the 6th book barely had any action at all. It was just the end. But I think the biggest reason that this book was important is probably the character development. We already talked about Harry, but then there's Ron and Hermione. Their relationship gets explored more. We learn a lot more about Draco, because Draco is always considered, that one kid who we all hate. And then you actually learn his story and how he's being forced to try and kill Dumbledore. And then it makes you actually try to think and put yourself in Draco's shoes a lot more, which is something that you would have never tried to do in the first 5 books. And a couple years ago, I think I did a rating for the Harry Potter books, and I'm pretty sure I gave the Half-Blood Prince a 6 out of 10. And now that I think back, I'm like, that's kind of disrespectful. Because this book, honestly, now that I read it, it's one of my favorite Harry Potter books. I don't know why. It seems so important. And the movie, too, was really good. I mean, they had scenes which just weren't in the book, like the burrow getting burned down. That didn't even happen. But I think that this whole book, I came to appreciate it more because I think this book was the first book where it was a little more like non-juvenile. It was a more young adult book than like a kid book. I think that's why I didn't appreciate it at first. But no, now that I go back, I definitely give this book at least a 9 out of 10. Because I can't give any of them a bad rating at this point, except for Chamber of Secrets, which I don't know why. You can let me know in the comments why you like Chamber of Secrets. But I just can't read the book and have fun with it. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still a better book than most books out there. That's just how good J.K. Rowling's series is. At the worst, Harry Potter book is still a better book than like 90% other books. But I don't know, the Chamber, I couldn't have any fun while reading it. There wasn't much character development, and it just made you, it just felt like the Philosopher's Stone all over again with a new adventure. And that's why that book, I stand 6, 7 out of 10. But the rest of them, no, I have to at least give them a 9 out of 10. And Goblet of Fire and Deathly Hallows, those are definitely a 10 out of 10. But I do have an exception to that. This book, I'm not even gonna rate it, okay? I'm gonna be honest, this is trash. It's just horrible. I mean, I know they put J.K. Rowling big, but she really didn't even write it. She just sort of looked over it. John Tiffany and Jack Thorne are really the people who wrote it. I wouldn't even call this book fan fiction. That's an insult to fan fiction. This book, it's a play. I know the play is amazing. I want to see the play because the special effects, the acting, that's going to be really cool. But this book is horrible. Okay, it really ruins so much stuff. Because I refuse to think that Voldemort had a daughter, especially with Bellatrix. And Cedric Diggory becoming a Death Eater, no matter what alternate reality we get into, that's not happening. And Harry is never going to be a bad dad. I'm not just saying this because like Harry's Harry, but Harry is not going to be a bad dad ever. He was abused by the Dursleys, and that's the last thing he would ever do. He'd always try to be the best dad possible, which is why this book, I mean, we don't even talk about it. Lastly, let me know in the comments who are your favorite characters. My favorite list would probably go, I'd say number 1, I like Neville. Neville is my favorite, just because he's probably so underrated. He's the reason that Harry won. And I don't think that if Neville hadn't been there, Hogwarts would not have fought as much as they did against Voldemort in the 7th book. Then 2, obviously, I'd have to go with Harry. Then 3, I like Hermione a lot. 4, I'd have to go with Fred and George. I gotta put them together. And 5, I'd probably go with Lupin. I like Lupin a lot. Also, honorable mention, Sirius Black. I don't know where to place him, but I love Sirius's character. Books and movie, I think he was a really good character. That's all for today. I hope you liked the video, and I'll see you in the next one.